But I don't usually not show up, but. Yeah. That, I mean. Maybe I really say something that I. Chat it. So commercial.
Hey,
How are you?
how are you?
Thanks. How are you?
Life is good.
Well, I'm not.
How are you, Drew? Hi. Oh, hi. Hey. It's good. I thought, yeah. Sure. Well, yeah, it's good. No, that isn't. I just got things out. It's real good. Yeah. Well, you're on.
Certainly that's fine. I didn't.
It's all good. Walk around.
Usually we're at a table.
Yeah. He works there. So it's all. I believe it's.
Yeah, you got it, yeah, okay, good. I just can't remember what happened, I had left and the boys were upstairs or something, so I raised the word up. Yeah. I thought I was trying to have Good evening, it is 6 o'clock. I would like to call this downtown management board meeting to order on Tuesday, April 16th. Thank you all for joining us. I would like to welcome Billy back there. It's a day already. All right, Becky Philip-Craig to the downtown management board. She was just approved by city council last night, so welcome. Thank you, Becky, for agreeing to work with us.
Thank you.
I think we're sticking with Billy.
I can answer to whatever.
We do have the consent agenda in front of us. Any discussion? Amy did have a comment.
Yes, I put in front of you a revised parking fund monthly report. It's revised because when I sent it out with the packet, it did not have the park mobile revenue for the month, which was 9,442.19. And that it also had a line item for credit card, which is just a form of payment. It isn't part of the revenue, but it was taking that and adding it to the revenue. So this is the correct revenue for the month is 64,443.40.
Thank you. And I do want to thank you for getting the packet out nice and early last week.
Oh, you're welcome.
Any other comments on the packet or the consent agenda? Questions?
I'll make the motions to approve the consent agenda with the addition of the updated figures and so hence.
We have a motion, we have a second, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you. In front of you, Amy also gave us a March 2024 payment sheet, and you'd like to describe what we will start seeing going forward.
Right, so historically, you've seen the monthly reports, the way Becky has put them together for both the parking and programs and services. And what she would do is, as soon as this meeting was over, any bills that came in through when the packet went out is what was in this report. The city pays all of our bills, so we get at month end what all the bills paid, and then they also provide a year to date. So that's typically what all the departments use to make sure that they're being billed correctly. So the second form is what I am proposing. It would change somewhat what you're receiving. You would, at your May meeting, you would get the April month end report of all the bills paid in April and the year to date. And then potentially quarterly, I could put it in the format that you historically have seen, because those are the categories you're used to seeing. But I just know Becky put a lot of hours every month into recreating the financials. But what the city gives us is what was paid. So that is very accurate. And by reviewing those, I'll be able to see if there's something that maybe I didn't get an invoice for, but was contributed to, say, the parking fund. And then I can find out if that was an accurate assignment or not.
Comments on that? I appreciate the efficiency and finding hours that can be spent on something else. And I think that going forward, having it by month, just straight on month would be useful. Anyone else? Okay. We are at the point where we have public comments. Anybody in the public would like to make a comment? You're welcome to step up to the microphone. Share. Thank you. Okay. All right. We're on to new business. We're going to review and possibly approve pop-up events. Andy, do you want to discuss that, please?
Yeah, as you will know, so I think this is I think maybe this has been going on for about 3 years. We have done an open application to downtown if they would like to host a pop-up event. It's something typically that they would like to use the public right of way for, which can only be done if it is a downtown sanctioned event. So the last couple of years, if you remember the Beards summer send-off, which is how that event kind of got started, how it happened, and how they were able to close the little stretch of Bay Street for their event. This year, I think, is like I said, our 3rd year having the pop-up event applications. And we have 2 applicants this year, Tip of the Mitt Watershed Council and then Boutique Boisson, along with, there was a couple, Boutique Boisson, Craig Ryan, and Picado, kind of all went in on one application. And you will see both of the applications in the packet. And like I said, this is something that was started before I had started this position. This year we've kind of run into a couple challenges with it. And if we continue doing this, this isn't the time to make that decision, but if we continue doing the pop-up event applications, we really want to fine-tune some things, really really clarify the intent of the pop-up applications. What is it for? Who does it benefit? And some roles and responsibilities with it. Because this year we kind of ran into some challenges with it. Just some gray areas that we would like to clear up. So you'll have 2 applications in front of you. I believe the first one is the Tip of the Mitt Watershed Council. And they would like to do a pop-up event for their Discovery Center opening celebration. You'll see the information in there. They're requesting $1,000, which is half of their budget for the event from the DMB. It's up to 50% matching funds. You'll see a little bit of a description about what they want to do, how that money will be spent, and then they want to use they want to do an opening celebration in the park. So there's that event application, that is kind of on the fringe of it might be just a use of the park, that they're kind of looking for. So that's up for board discussion, if you want to approve it as a pop-up event, or if you want to suggest that it's just a use of the park, because it is, it is for an opening celebration. So that's kind of some of those gray areas that we get into is who, is it supposed to be solely for one business or to benefit a larger area? But so that's Tip of the Mitt Watershed Council, and then Boutique Boisson is applying for a men's night, which this past year in December, they did the first of men's night. And this year they are applying for it to be a pop-up event run through the office. And you will see a description on there, and the public right of way that they would like to use is closing a couple streets in December, Lake and Howard, I believe. Like to close Lake and Howard Street in order to have a band or a DJ in that intersection. And the date of the men's night would be Friday, December 20th, and then the Watershed Council event, I believe, is in June 1st. So let me know if you have any more questions, or I can clarify anything too. So, and feel free to jump in if I missed anything.
Thank you, Andy.
Yeah.
Should we separate these and discuss them separately, or should we discuss them mingled? Does anybody have a, Drew, you're nodding your head that we should separate them?
It might be best to, and if you could turn on your microphone, sorry.
Yeah, I think it would be fair to both of the applicants to assess them separately, just because it seems like one is downtown businesses trying to create a new event, and the other is a nonprofit that is opening a new element to their frontage, I guess you'd say. So I think it would be fair to kind of assess them separately, but.
Okay, let's do that. Let's separate. Why don't we talk about the tip of the hand first? Any comments?
I guess general question, when we were talking about this, we budgeted 6,000
Mhm.
for the year. Did we didn't clarify how many events?
No,
We left it up,
yeah,
Mhm.
just that budgeted 6.
just the budget amount.
Yep.
The last 2 years, we've only had one application each year.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know that we gave them all the 6,000, but they got,
We got, they
different
got,
funds.
yeah,
I think they, I believe they got 50% of their proposed budget.
Sure.
But I don't think it was anything close to that 6,000.
right, okay.
For Tip of the Mitt, I think it's a cool, I hope it's a cool addition to that end of town. Just, I tend to spend a lot of time over there. There's really not a lot of excitement at the corner across the street from where we are. So what I would like to know is this Watershed Discovery Center. I mean, it doesn't really matter, I guess, for the application, but it'd be nice to know, how often that's gonna be made available to the public and things like that. I don't, this is the first I'm hearing about it, so it would just be kind of a nice feature to be able to advertise to our guests across the street or whatever, just so that downtown has an idea of what the addition is that they're bringing to downtown and how we could best support that new opening. But I think it looks like a great opportunity for all ages is what I see in front of me.
I mean, they had done like some demos in that front area before, but it was more designed as an office than like a whole demo place, so I don't know, and I'm just speaking off the top of my head, but I imagine that's just the idea, is that they host a lot of groups. School groups, LLT, things like that, but.
That's the only time I've been in there is LLT, so that's why I just didn't know if it's like, welcome, we're gonna have this wonderful new thing for all of downtown 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, or it's. You can bring your 4th grade class to this event, which does it really make a difference on whether we want to approve it or not? It doesn't have to, but that's just kind of.
I do believe in, obviously, I could clarify this, but I do believe it's, a discovery center that'll be open like 9 to 5 every day. And then if you wanna bring your 4th grade class or something like that, you make arrangements to have like a private tour. But I think it's something that's kind of drop-in discovery center activities. And then they wanna do an opening celebration then, which is what the pop-up would be, for the opening of the Discovery Center. And it looks like they want to do, use that little end of the park kind of down by Perry where we have like the movies in the park set up with, a little bit of live music, some craft supplies, refreshments and snacks. So kind of a fun opening celebration from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the park. And like I said, it could be, you could kind of look at it 2 ways. It could be just a use of the park, that they are wanting, that, you know, they are wanting to use, because in the past, the pop-up events have been, events that get, encourage more businesses to participate. And that's just kind of one of those things that I was talking about some clarity if we move forward with this, some removing of those gray areas. Because are the pop-up events, can they benefit just one business? Should they incorporate more than one business? Which is like with the summer send-off, Beards really tried to incorporate more businesses. We did like a search for the summer sunset, scavenger hunt and other businesses, and that was kind of a pair up with the Beards event. But like I said, it's up to you, you know, it's up to the board. This, you know, they're basically requesting to have an event in the public right away. So it also does kind of fall in line with the pop-up events, but it also could be just a use of the park application, which would just be done through the city, and it would kind of remove us from that aspect of it.
Those are good points, Sandy. Thank you.
Except that they're asking for money
Yes,
to offset their budget,
yes.
right?
For it.
So I'm guessing, you know, they're planning a little more. Yeah, they're planning an event and they just want some help with that event. So I think it's a great idea.
But does that go with our purpose of of one of these pop-up events where we provide?
And that's, like I said, it was the pop-up forums. I think they're a great idea. Oh, thank you. I think they're a great idea. And they were done before I was here, so that's, you might even know more of the intent than I do. But from what I can gather is the event, the pop-up forums are, the intent is to, we've had a lot of businesses that want to close a street for something, you know, use the park for something, use the public right away, and they can't unless it's a downtown sanctioned event. So that's kind of where we get into a little bit of gray area. But I think quite a few of you were probably on the board when the pop-up events were formed. So I don't know if you can speak onto the intent a little bit, if you remember, or maybe I'm totally way off, or if that sounds in line. But and like I said, these are, it also is a new program where, you know, we've only done it for 3 years, and obviously new things are gonna come up and arise, and we want to be, you know, business friendly and help out our businesses as best as we can too. So
Joe?
I guess, I think it was, maybe the intent was to have more of those events that are bigger and involving more
Mhm.
people, but was my thinking about it going back, to that idea, but I don't think that necessarily means we shouldn't. This is a little bit more specialized as an event than maybe that would be looking to, but I don't think that means we shouldn't necessarily do it.
Mhm.
But it could be something where we're talking about. If we have something different in mind, we should address that going forward, as
Yes,
far as how. Hey, we want to have like big events that involve a lot of people and a lot of businesses, and could maybe suggest some things with as part of this to have. Other nonprofits have a table set up, or I don't know, something like that, but.
yeah.
That was my thinking on the event thing. I don't know if you guys all.
Thank you, John. Other comments?
I mean, I think it's a positive event that's gonna bring families downtown, so I like it. I like the idea of it.
And it is something to add to our event list. I mean, we can only do so much with the resources and the staffing that we have. And I think that was a little bit of the intent as well with the pop-up forum, was to collaborate efforts where, you know, work together, and there's something else added to onto our event list where maybe we're not having all of the responsibility on it, which is kind of nice. And also, you know, like I said, helping out our businesses too, but.
Yeah, I think my interpretation was similar to Joe's, so I think that it was kind of going back to when I remember it was like first brought up. There was a few different hurdles that were the benefit that the city would help with. And the first one was then you were able to close streets and things like that and kind of scale it up. So I think that honestly, it seems like the second, not to jump to the other application, but it does seem like the other application has more of a close mindset of the true intent of what we planned on for this application, and trying to find more of a buy-in or more of a because there's a lot of interest from certain store owners, most of them are in this room actually, to come up with more exciting events that the downtown could help support, I think was the original intent. This first application, while I think it's a great thing, the only thing that's in my mind is like, what I said is like, is this going to be an addition to the downtown, or is this something that like is gonna come and go? Doesn't have to make any sort of difference on how we decide to go or support it, but I think it's important that we support things that are gonna be assets to the downtown too. So I think that the watershed council as an event doesn't quite fit exactly what the original intent is from my interpretation. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it, and I would probably support it, so.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
They are a good neighbor to the downtown as a participant. I'm impressed that they've started their own murals. It isn't like, to me, this is a good employer, whether it's nonprofit or profit. And I think anytime we can get people coming downtown, I think it's great. I think the word pop-up, I know you can have a pop-up in the front of a store and maybe have somebody drawing caricatures, and that's considered a pop-up. So it can be very small, it can be very big where you're closing streets down. I think anytime we can get people downtown, families, if you bring them down, they'll come back. And to me, that's the goal, is you want them to come down, have a good time, and come on back. That's all.
And I think the other thing that's pop up to me is like a non-recurring, something to celebrate, especially, and it's not like they're gonna be coming back next year for a reopening of something, some other part of the building, I wouldn't think, but. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm with you. I think it's a positive group and a positive part of downtown that, you know, it's in our budget. It's less than 2% of our budget, and it's a positive event, so.
I'm not, either one of those proposals, if I kind of look at them together for a second, is media or promotion, asking for like promotion out there, which I think would be very important for both of these events. And I would even encourage the applicants to maybe go back and reconfigure their budgets and say, you know, we're gonna put up X amount of promotion dollars, and, you know, ask for a little more money to promote the events as well. Because that's important, especially when we're out there, and that it's not necessarily incumbent upon the particular proposing business to carry that burden. Just about.
Thank you.
So Andy, where does marketing come from for these pop-up events? Is that in addition? Is that out of our marketing budget?
It would probably be. I guess in my mind, I would, and I don't know if this is possible, but I would do what Gary has said and maybe go back to the business and ask, you know, about, because that might even be something that Watershed Council hasn't even thought of or something, you know, and decide, and I don't know if they would have to amend the proposed budget that they would get or not, or if there is a way you know, we could make it work with what they proposed. Because I would think that it would come out of the budget that they provided us. But then again, I'm not positive, you know, but that's where I would.
I wonder where the summer send-off budget came from. Cause I know that the downtown put money towards the marketing. event.
Yes.
So I'm making an assumption, and you know what happens with that.
Yeah, I know, that's kind of what
That money came from a marketing.
It might have, and that's one of those things where if we continue going forward, definitely clarify that. Because now that you say that, it probably did just come from our marketing budget. And especially if we didn't, you know, ask them and it, you know, to do an amendment and everything. So this year, I would say it would probably come from our marketing budget then with what you'd said.
I personally, I think that's fine, because I think the, when we're asking for applicants to send in what these pop-up events are, it's something that we're partnering in. So I think it's fine for us to, I mean, going forward, I think we need to sharpen up the pencil a little bit and understand what exactly we want those applicants to look like. But I think we're kind of participating in that, so that marketing budget is well spent promoting events that the downtown's a part of, which we therefore are, because that's our addition to it. So I think I mean, neither of the projects are asking for an obscene amount by any stretch. And especially the second, I think that it's definitely within our best interest to consider the marketing funds that are set aside for those things, so.
And with that said, I do, I agree with that, having it come from the downtown, you know, marketing budget. Because part of the pop-up events is that the, you know, printing and design, and the brand awareness of the pop-up event is run through the downtown office, so that does make sense.
Thank you. That was a great question, Barry.
Yeah, I guess my point too is if you want the marketing to be effective, then you're looking at radio and possibly even television.
And it's,
And that could cost so.
oh, quite a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And do we want all that to come out of our budget for not
Exactly.
necessarily, if we hadn't necessarily planned on that? But I agree. I mean, we should, I think, partner with them marketing wise and
Yes.
whatnot, promotional wise as well. But it costs money, so.
Yeah.
Well, and I do think the application asks the applicant to give us a full budget, which would include marketing typically.
So we are still talking about Tip of the Met and that event. My opinion is I think it's a good event in terms of it gets people downtown. I think it's supporting a good neighbor, like the mayor said. Perhaps we could make a motion where we approve it, but with the caveat that they try to invite other businesses downtown to participate in some way, shape, or form. As an addition, so then there would be more things happening, whether that be in the park or in the individual businesses. But I think that would be reasonable, since that's under the spirit of the intent of the pop-up event. That was. Okay.
I ditto that. I was gonna say, how are they gonna incorporate other businesses in with that? Because that's, I mean, when Beards did that, they've wanted that to happen and have other people included. So if that is part of the intent, which I think it does say, how are they wanting other people And I don't know if that gets interesting because they're not asking for. They're asking for part of the park, so does that mean that other businesses are coming into the park? And I know that that has some sticky issues as well. Because there's only certain things you're allowed to do in the park or not do and have to be careful with that probably.
Yes, and I could see them coming up with a way, a sturgeon scavenger hunt, where they
I
provide
had the
a,
exact same thought.
there we go.
So they have a baby sturgeon at the
Yeah.
Discovery Center.
So,
And you have to visit these stores to, find find the sturgeon, and then you come back to the park for your, see a real one or stamp your whatever, I think that would be good. And that was kind of the point, that was the intent a little bit with the beards as well. We tried to find a downtown aspect. And I think that, working with Tip of the Mitt on this, they have that kind of side covered, and then I could try and, get the downtown aspect and trying to incorporate them in that. I think that'd be really good.
What are the stipulations as far as like this is opening the park to do some public things as far as having certain vendors in there or anything like that?
And help me out, Amy, if I am wrong, but so if it's a downtown sanctioned event put on by the downtown office, I think you can kind of do whatever in the park. Limit, like, because typically you can't use, well, I mean, because typically you can't really use the park for
Commercial activity.
commercial activity, but if
Right.
it's a downtown sanctioned event, you can.
Yeah, although I mean, reading their application, it really just sounds like it's a celebration of the opening of this Discovery Center. It doesn't sound like they're planning on having a bunch of vendors and that sort of thing.
Or selling anything in the park,
Right.
or, yeah. So I think but I'll have to get clarity on that, obviously, from the city, with the special event application that I do. But I think if it's under the umbrella of the downtown management board, obviously you can't, have a bonfire or anything in the park, but, you are allowed some vendor booths, as long as they're not selling or anything like that, right?
Or they could say they wanted to have a food truck in their parking lot as part of this
Private
event. They
property.
could do that, because they couldn't put it in the park, but they could put it in their parking lot as part of the community event.
Public proper, or private, sorry.
Yep.
I don't know if that answers your question.
Well, I mean, it's part of, if you're having to try to get more people involved, figuring out who could be involved.
Exactly, yes.
To be part of that, if they're fundraising.
I'll take a stab at a motion. So, the first caveat is, I'll make a motion to approve the Tip of the Mitt watershed pop-up event as listed, with two conditions. First being that it is an allowable use of the downtown parks to be approved by the city, and Andy can work with them to see if that's the intent of what downtown events for the parks are. Secondly, it will be strongly encouraged that the Tip of the Mitt Watershed Council finds a way to incorporate additional businesses or other partners of the downtown in the event. We'll try it.
well said. We have a motion, do we have support?
Sorry.
Thank you, we have a motion, we have support. So the motion is to approve the Tip of the Mitt pop-up event as presented, as long as the city gives approval for the use of the downtown park. And also that the Tip of the Mitt will be encouraged to somehow incorporate other downtown businesses to be included. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you.
All right, then we'll move on to the proposed men's night. You'll see a little bit more of the details, proposed for Friday, December 20th. Requesting, a 50% of their $2,000 budget, which would be $1,000. Where did my best thing go? And we do have, a representative from one of the, stores that applied for the event. I don't know if or when, if they're able to speak, or if they would like to. But so they are proposing a men's night. I'll read what the description says in the application. Proposing a men's night, be very similar to our ladies' night, which we had in November, or have in November. They would like to close Lake Street and Howard Street in order to have a band or DJ in the intersection on a stand or a stage. They're projecting a total cost of $2,000. And then stores participating would offer food or drink of their choice, and then any in-store specials.
Marjorie, I know you're here. Would you like to step up to the podium and tell us? Yeah, you have to.
And then press the button on the big long button on the speaker. Yep.
And if you could give us your full name and your business name.
My name's Marjorie Neal and my business is Boutique Poisson on 406 East Lake Street.
Anything you want to tell us about that?
Basically, last year, I think a lot of people in this room participated.
On there? You can hear me now?
Yeah.
You can just tap it and it'll,
Oh,
there you go.
got it. Okay. Last year there were several of us, Alona Kelly at Picado, myself and Stephen and Craig Bryan had wanted to, and I asked people at Copper Aesthetics wanted to do a men's night. I know there was one here years ago. I heard, I've not been here but 4 years, so I'm not really sure how long ago that was. Do you guys remember?
Probably 7 or 8 years ago. It's probably for 2 years in a row, 3 years maybe.
Okay, and I heard it didn't go well. Okay. So we wanted to try to see if we could make it go well. I think just because I know not, we don't want to compare ourselves to anybody else, but there's a lot of other places that have a successful men's night that's very successful. So we'd like to try to kind of gear it up, and we didn't really have enough time or money last year, mostly time, because by the time we kind of talked about it, it was already a few months ahead of time. So we just spent our own money with advertising and doing what we could, but we didn't do TV or radio or anything like that. We just did some Facebook and Instagram, some social media kind of things. And we had some help with, Andy helped us a little bit with providing some of the flyers, and we paid for the rest of it, paid for the DJ and everything. And it was, my observation, there wasn't a lot of people out that night, obviously, because it wasn't well enough advertised. And it needs to be, but we at least got it started. Most people that came in our store off the streets that weren't my customers didn't even know it was a men's night, but were real excited when they came in and really enjoyed themselves. I will say that, the people that just came and didn't know it was men's night that night. We would like to make it on a bigger scale, close the streets down, have a band out there, if possible, weather permitting, or DJ, because Parker does a great job. And Gypsy Vodka and a lot of other places, probably 20 some stores participated this year, which is really nice. And I know that Gypsy Vodka, Malted Vinyl, and all them, they want to do drinks and stuff like that. So I don't know if we could do those out in front of their stores and things like that, where people could just walk through and kind of pick up drinks and go. So those are kind of some of the ideas that we have to make it more on a larger scale, but it's going to take advertisement in order to do that, because we just don't have the word's just not out there. So we'd like to try to make it a big event, and we would volunteer our time and work hard to help all of you to do that. But like I say, we just didn't have enough time, in my opinion, last year. But I was very thrilled that so many stores wanted to participate. So that was great.
Is question on the budget is, so you have approximately $2,000. Is that what is that for?
Well, when I talked to Andy before, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, because I know it's been a little gray a bit on this stuff, but my understanding is that this was going to be for the band and those kind of things to get them, going. And you were talking about partnering on doing the advertisement if we could get it. And I thought it was going to go through marketing is what I thought. And I didn't put an advertising budget in there. It's mostly for flyers and a band.
Okay. I mean, that's, I guess, the kind of thing that we were talking about a little bit earlier, is where would the marketing come from? I guess, and obviously this year, it's too late to do any of that, because of this gray area, but, marketing is quite it's a big chunk. So I think that we could, obviously now it's it's too late to kind of come up with that solution right now, but as going forward, we could. But I guess as of right now, it would probably come from our marketing budget. But I think we would have to work together and come up with a compromise of what exactly we would want to do and what we would be comfortable spending too.
Yeah, first of all, Marjorie, thank you. This is the intent that I had in mind for other businesses to come together and try to think, this is a great idea, let's try to see what we can do. And so finding a way that the downtown can support those things. So thanks for bringing that forward and being a representative for a few businesses here. So first of all, that's awesome. In the past, and from what I remember, from the first year or two that we kind of piloted this program, is a lot of times, the two times, was there was a specific intent that they asked for us to participate with. So Beards generally had a concert component with it.
I see.
And they asked us to cover the expense for like one particular part or partner in the expense of one particular part. And then they handled a different component.
Okay.
Since we partnered with like one individual business that asked others to collect, it's a little bit different because they knew they were going to have this event. They wanted to bring others in, things like that. So that's probably why the application looked that way. And it was before Andy was here. So that's kind of why I just wanted to give my 2 cents of my interpretation of it. From the marketing standpoint, like I said before, when it's something that we want to participate in, I think it's important that our marketing dollars go behind that too. To what extent is up to the interpretation that we wouldn't necessarily like. So if it's there's $2,000 in there. If, for example, you had a $4,000 band and you wanted us to cover half of it, then it would be specifically for that. If we want to look at it from the frame of mind of your entire budget that we would be looking at approving is $2,000 with marketing included, we can certainly work on that, and then it would be like an up to. In my opinion, would be like an up to. Since there's a few different businesses working together, it would make a lot of sense for me that our downtown office would do the best that we can to kind of coordinate those things. So that it has a similar look and things like that. So did you have something like in mind that you had like this DJ and it's gonna specifically be for entertainment? Or is this just an overall budget that it would be like an up to dollar figure, just so that everybody can kind of wrap their around what
That was kind of like an up to,
Yeah.
not including marketing,
not including marketing. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Cool. Thank you.
not including marketing. And there's actually about 10 businesses that are really excited about partnering and trying to help,
Sure.
with this, Chris being one of them here. And so there's quite a few of us that are excited about getting our hands dirty and getting busy and trying to make it work. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. So thank you.
Thank you.
More questions from?
Yeah, how much of the streets do you want to close down?
Just, I guess where they normally do for like at the park, I'm talking about like right past the park from on Lake Street to the end of Lake Street where you are, I would think, and then unless Beers is going to be participating, then we could take it down to that end. My guess is they probably want to. So we could take it down to that end, and then Howard, I just think down to, I'm thinking like just past Mitchell or something, where farmers market starts. I don't know that there's anybody up that way that would be participating in it, I said, just thinking about the businesses that are on those two sides. So that's what I was kind of thinking, them taking it all the way down to Bay Street.
So not closing Mitchell Street except the intersection.
And we could, I'm asking, you guys know best, right? So not I necessarily, so that's why I'm saying, yeah, we could close Mitchell as well.
It's just my concern that close to Christmas, losing all the, depending on the weather, losing all that parking for
Sure.
the other businesses.
I think that makes sense. I think why we were just saying Blake and Howard, just because it wasn't gonna close as much, but and I understand what you're saying.
I guess the only other thoughts that I had on this with the first an additional thank you. I think it's a great idea. The timing of it, we are kind of looking at making sure that our backing up into the tail end at the beginning of December, that the parade we identified a different date for, and then as well as, you know, open houses a little bit earlier on in the month, is. I'm assuming there's a collection of businesses that are interested in it. Is being that close to Christmas like a benefit or a drawback for how you think attendance will kind of turn out?
Well, this might make you laugh a little bit, but usually the week for Christmas is Desperate Husbands Week, you know, generally. I mean, not all men are take that long, but a lot of guys tend to, for whatever reason, my husband included, shop kind of at the last minute kind of thing. So that was kind of our thought, that might be kind of nice for the people that had not pre-shopped, that they could have a night to shop. But, you know, I'm open to suggestions because, you know, if you guys think that's a bad idea, then we could switch a date, you know?
The 20th is not last minute. Just for that.
No, it's usually the 20th.
There's some of us.
Just becoming a husband.
What date did you do it last year?
I think it was the 16th. I don't recall, but I think it was like the 16th, 17th, something like that. It was a little bit sooner. We were just looking at a Friday night as opposed to try and do that on the weekend, you know? So
Sure.
the date just kind of followed. We didn't want to sit on ladies' night or any of that kind of stuff either. It'd be too close, so.
Yeah. Oh, it's great.
Because those events are very successful, obviously, that are already there.
Open house is what night? Here? 6.
And the parade's 14.
Praise 14.
So that is my only concern, I would say, is the street closures. Just because the city would be closing them for 3 weeks then in a row, which I don't have any, you know, control over that. It's something we ask the city for. So that would be my only my concern with the street closures. And also I'm not sure if they would, because of being in the winter and because of how the streets are closed, I don't know if they would close all of the streets or if they would only just close those 2 proposed because of you know,
Circulation.
yeah, circulation. So the street closures is my concern, just because it's in December and it's we have open house and then we change the parade date also. And I guess the only time I've closed the streets in the winter is for open house.
My concern would be the closing streets too, of just the history of closing those 2 streets tends to be for I mean, sidewalk sales are full on parade, and so as a pop-up event that only some stores are participating in, but yet it affects all of the stores.
It could look a little.
It could look, it could be interesting, and you're going to have several stores that I can think of will be extremely upset, especially after all the closings. So it's just not that that's a reason to say yes or no, but it's definitely something to think about. It seems like maybe at least closing partial area or just the intersection, so people could kind of go in and out, or in front of like Picado and kind of Simon's area or something that I could see partial, like they did with the Beards, where it was a partial area that was closed, might go over a little better with others, but I understand the whole reason of wanting it.
So maybe just the intersection, just the actual intersection, is that still gonna be okay for traffic flow there since you can get through? That's what I'm wondering. I don't know.
Actually, as public works, and if you're closing that intersection, they're gonna have to take it all the way to the Petoskey, Mitchell and Bay. But the option of Lake from Howard to the Elks lot.
Yeah, we could do that too. That's a possibility, right? I mean, it is. That's a possibility, yeah.
So here's something, in hearing what Becky was saying, when we've closed the streets in the past, if you have big gaps in what's happening on the street and it's empty, then the perception of the event is that it wasn't successful because there's nothing going on.
I get it.
So I would be concerned with closing, and because of traffic flow, you know, Amy is right, you'd really have to close, you know, more, if you were to close the intersection down. That how would the perception look if there's a DJ and 25 people in the middle of the street or 100 people in the middle of the street, but everything else is empty? The perception becomes is that it wasn't a good event, which is the opposite of what you want, right? And you want that to be built on. So is it necessary to close the streets? That would be a question. Is there a way to go around that, or closing that one block that doesn't require everything else to be closed around it too? Just.
Yeah, I think maybe closing one block as long as they're, I think the thing is, because if I'm not mistaken, isn't ladies' night, close the streets are closed for that night? They're not, okay, no, because I couldn't remember, I know the open houses, okay, so I think if we close maybe that end by the park down there, I think that's a great idea, because we could do what we wanted to do there. Have the man have, if Gypsy wants to go down there or whatever, anybody wants to go down there, Multivine or whatever, wanted to go down there and have things they could.
I'm not sure if they could go down and serve drinks though.
Even though they've got liquor licenses?
Yes.
They've got off-site licenses as well.
Yeah, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't know who, but I'm pretty sure you can. I mean, I don't know who.
Well, they'll know, I'll talk to them,
Yeah.
because they're,
Part of the social district.
Well,
there is social, they'll know, but.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain that, I mean, they can all, if they're in the social district, they can sell and people can walk it there.
yes,
Yeah.
But,
it's gotta be from their
we have never
business.
been able, we have offsite and
You can't,
social district, and we have never been able to do that.
okay, then we'll just do it from their sites, but at least if we had the band down there, that would be
But
good.
that doesn't mean we can't.
Remember when Gypsy Vodka did the vodka
Ice
luge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool. It was before we had a social district now, but
Maybe, yeah.
we can't do anything in the park now with the social district. Yeah, I mean, obviously, the street closure would have to go through the city and to see if it would be a safety concern too, if just having that street, I don't know, but that's, it's up to the city, I mean, to see if we could close that or not.
I think that's a good compromise. I mean, if we can't, I think that's a great compromise, so people don't get mad, it's just down there, and I think that's a great compromise if we can't do it the other way.
Other thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think the streets have to be closed to make it a great event.
No, it doesn't,
Yeah.
it doesn't. We just thought it would give some extra added, if we can have a really great band out there, really some great band that guys would love to, anybody would like to come to, I think it'd be great, so. Get a nice band that's gonna be a big draw kind of a thing, so.
But I think it's great to get some events, get more people downtown. I agree with Drew on that for sure.
Yep, and I think that I may have free radio already for this event, so. Which would be good,
Could the band play in the park? Is that an option?
sure.
So there's two, yeah, that's a great thought too. I had the same thoughts about the street closures, is like, I think it'd be great to scale this event a little bit before because I wanna make sure that it gets the right momentum out of the gate. If we, just like Jennifer mentioned, I had the same thought, if we close the street, it looks like it's empty. Nobody really likes it and everybody's just mad that they
Right.
can't park in the streets.
I get it,
So that's generally what it gets to us.
it makes sense, we don't want any issues of more than what we already have, so it's fine.
Yeah, and then the other flip side is when you have events in the park and you kind of have the same concept. Because it's a little bit of its own island away
Yeah.
from those businesses and people have to walk to get their drinks and stuff like that. So if we make the focus on the park, sometimes you get a similar concept. When we decide to put a band or a movie, whatever, it looks awesome when a lot of people show up. It looks less awesome when they don't.
Yeah.
And when they're in your stores, which is kind of the objective of what we want, is they spend their money on the 20th.
Mhm.
Then I would really want to get them out of the park and get them spending
Correct,
dollars in the store.
correct.
So that being said, I think it's a wonderful event. I don't want to jump too much or offer too much, but we could talk, maybe we'd have some space for you for the band type thing too, if you don't want it in the park or something like that. So we might be partners.
Okay, good,
But we'll talk.
perfect, okay.
From my events, like logistics standpoint, I do think that, depending on what's voted on here tonight, and I don't know, if this would have to come back, but I think the budget might need to be revisited as well. Because if you do a band outside in December, you're gonna want a tent.
Yes, all that.
Which would, is pricey, and then also finding a musician that would play in December might be kind of iffy too, just because of weather. And then also what to do if there is inclement weather that night, because then you don't want to be out of that money. So I think those would be things like logistics that we would really have to think about and possibly revisit as well as the budget, because if you want to get a good band, that's already $1,000 plus another 500 to 600 for a tent. In that, but I think that would need to be looked at as well, but yeah, I mean, I think our ladies' night is really well attended, and it's taken obviously years to get there too. And I don't know if it was Drew or Joe that said, I definitely don't think the streets need to be closed for it, because definitely if it's a shopping event too, you want someone that easily, you know, can park and then go in your store. And then also, you know, a place to go, like drop off all of your shopping bags that you're getting and then go back out for round two. So that's something too. I don't think that, you know, if the streets aren't closed for this, I don't think it's a make or break kind of thing, but that's
I would agree.
just my.
Chris, do you have anything you want to say? You have anything you want to say, Tom?
Yeah, I'd love to fan it out.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, you go ahead.
Chris Struble, Arlington Jewelers, Michigan Hemingway Society, all kinds of different things. I think great points have been brought up all across the board here tonight with logistics. Just jumping back a little bit with the tip of the mitt. We live in the biggest body of fresh water in the world, so it's nice to partner with something like that. It's a great cause. A little harder to figure out a way to partner with them. You know, it's like that was brought up. But yeah, men's night, I'm very excited about. I've seen it be a great success in different communities I've worked in over the years. Men are late shoppers. They will wait. I wait till the 24th. So we've seen that be hugely successful. There's a lot of momentum with a lot of store owners downtown to participate in it. It's a little bit more of an opportunity for store owners to come in. Like to see a lot of marketing kind of going towards it. It takes a little time to build events. I know we tried it for 2 years before, maybe 3. But you know, sometimes events take a little time to build up, and then once they're there, the momentum kind of builds. My only concern is a lot of times when you use the park, it's hard to get people on the peripheral. Like you said, not a lot of excitement down there across the street sometimes. And but you do want the concentration, but getting them to come. Ultimately, we all would like to have like some revenue coming in from these events, and that's us on the Four Corners also. So as far as street closures, the logistics of all that, you know, whatever's best for the most of us. But I'm not talking about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We're talking about 6:30 at night. And if you would look around at 8 in the evenings, there's you know, a majority of stores are closed after 6 o'clock. Those are still open very later. I mean, really appreciate that also. But I think the men's night is a great opportunity. There's a lot of momentum for other stores to be part of it. My big concern is jumping a little forward too, but we may have noticed that the last 4 winners are not real winners lately. We've had no snowshoe sales. We may have to kind of start maybe reinventing these peripheral off months, these shorter months. It's been really encouraging for me to see October become sort of the new July. It's really busy in October. So thinking kind of outside the box and trying to hopefully promote businesses that may be struggling a little bit in the season that was usually a strong season, which was Christmas, by doing a men's night and kind of keeping at it with some advertising dollars might be nice. And there's a lot of us that are behind it with store owners downtown, but very much in support of both of the proposals that seem to be on the table for right now, tip and mitt. And like I said, it's a little harder to partner with that, but it's a very good cause and good for the community. But if shopping dollars are a concern, you know, a men's night, I think with some promotion and some time, it really could become a very good event for a lot of people downtown. And there seems to be some good support for that. So that's pretty much just it. So thanks much for the time.
Thank you.
I have 2 questions, kind of more so. One about the marketing in general of just any event that might pop up, and this might be something that needs to happen with the fine tuning of things, I guess, is if we're throwing out that we're doing the marketing, is there an approval process of what's going out there into the public, since it looks like the downtown is supporting it? I mean, I guess that it fits all the images and all that, or is that?
If
didn't know how.
if it's a downtown event that, which if these are both approved, they would be a downtown sanctioned event, so that, that marketing would go through our office. So that would be,
Okay.
so, yeah,
I just,
so we would be in charge of the design, and in that, obviously collaborating with both of the.
yeah, no,
But it
that's
would
why
go
I was,
process.
I didn't know like
Yes.
how. There's, because there's been different events and different things that we all try and do it different ways, so I was just kind of curious how that starts to all come together, I didn't know. My other, and I just, as talking about a men's night, and we have a ladies' night that we already do, is it? I don't want to take anything away from any other stores. Is it something that as downtown, we should be trying to do again if everybody wants to participate in it? Or is that like you start small with what we're doing here and see? I'm just, and not being part of the sport, and this is my first time, I'm kind of just
Oh, yeah.
asking questions that I have no idea what.
Well, thank you. And I think that is one of those kind of light gray areas that we would kind of figure out too. Because I believe, so with Beards, they did the summer send off twice and they did apply for a pop-up both times. So I think it would be, if we go forward, that would be maybe a stipulation or something that we would add in, maybe it's done on the pop-up level for 2 or 3 years, and then based on merchant feedback and that kind of thing, see if it's adapted into the adapted into the DMB budget. I'm not positive, but because I think I mean, a lot of stores have good ideas, and if they're things that are starting to be successful, and that we can help them out in, I think, it's definitely worth it as the board to look into to adapt it or adopt it as a DMB event.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I don't know, that could be different than what. I mean, but I think as going forward, and that's, like I said, these are kind of it's a new program that we've done. And it's nice to kind of have that thought in the back of your head too, is, oh, this could be really great. Then how do we make it, how do we?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see anybody else that's gonna do the no snow snowshoe sale or the
Yeah.
different stuff. That doesn't equate to everybody else, but a men's night equates to. However, anybody, it's
Mhm.
easily equatable to lots of different businesses. So that was why I was bringing it up more than trying to take an event over, or I don't want it, not
Yeah.
that way.
Oh, I understand, and I think that obviously, like Chris said too, you need to try something for a while until see if it fits, and I'm not sure if it as a pilot, the pop-up form is requested for a couple years, and then based on merchant feedback or something like that, we adopt it or what that could be, but we could definitely explore that.
Yeah, I think that's something worth exploring. Just to ask Marjorie, this, would you be opposed to having the downtown do it as a downtown wide men's night that we would run in conjunction with ladies' night?
No, I actually, and not just me personally, but a lot of other business owners that I've spoken with, they all would prefer that. They would all prefer that.
Okay.
But I was kind of under the impression that we had to do it that way first before it would be able to become that.
Wait, what are you saying?
If we were to if we, as the downtown management board, were to say this is a downtown management board event.
Mm.
And run the entire thing through marketing with an events committee that Marjorie and others could be on, is that something?
Mm.
It is after 7, so we have been here for an hour already. I don't want to stifle comments, but I also don't want for us to be here till 10 o'clock like city council was last night. So I'm proposing that we perhaps table this discussion until next month. And maybe we could all think about options, if that's reasonable to everybody.
I was gonna make a motion to,
Joe didn't.
I would like to make a motion to approve this event, and maybe with the caveat of discussing exactly determining what the best street closure situation should be. I don't know how vague I can make that motion, but I think with maybe a more limited, definitely a more limited street closure than this says, and maybe discussion of what that would be.
So my comment to your motion,
Sure.
if I may, is,
Should have a second discussion.
oh, sorry.
Do we have a second so that we can discuss?
I make a second,
Thank you.
just don't get discussion.
Alright, sorry. Alright, so now my comment is, I think we should remove the street closure for this particular event. And then I also think that in the motion, it would be a good idea to add the specifics of, with the intention of the downtown marketing and promotions director to take lead on the promotions and marketing of the event, but also the organization of the coordination between stores, if that's okay. Not understanding what you said to Jennifer's comment, that I think it would just benefit the downtown as a whole if the downtown office could assist in those two extra ways.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I would prefer it be a permanent event right now. So,
I don't, not in the motion to make it a permanent event, because I think that we would have to table it and have a whole new discussion on
I got
that.
it. Yep.
But I think to move the process forward, we could consider keeping it in the pop-up event with those two caveats on Joe's. I don't know if y'all can add to Joe's motion or make my own, but that would be. Sorry, I don't know the
I think
Roberts on that.
you would need to make a new motion.
Good.
We have to
So,
vote on the first motion first.
Can we amend?
You can ask the first motion.
To amend.
Okay with
Thank you,
that,
Amy.
changing the motion, adopting the motion as changed.
Sorry, Joe.
Can I?
I have one question, just if you guys, as part of the event, wanting a band and you don't close off the street, where does the band go?
that's my question, where are we gonna put it? Yeah, and I mean, there's really no place to put it unless we put it on the corner. We have to get on the corner of Picado, right on the sidewalk there. That'd be the only place it could go.
So I am back to my original comment about that I would
Yeah.
like a motion to table this discussion until next month. And in the meantime, I would hope that you maybe would go out and try to find a band that would agree to play on December 20th and how much they would be. And then we would also work on other things as well and come back in a month and discuss it. Because I think if we could discuss this in May, we might be further ahead.
Joe needs to rescind his motion.
All right, I'll take it back. I rescind it.
Drew needs to withdraw his second.
You
Thank you, Mr.
I thought you
Mayor.
were
second.
Oh, my second, I'm sorry.
No, no, no. I'm already in trouble.
Okay.
So I do have a question.
Yes.
Part of the benefit of getting of approving the pop-up event is having it listed in our list of events in our
Yes.
shopping map.
Yes.
And that's the only thing that
That's what
is
we need
my
to do.
kind of hiccup, is that unless we get a motion with some direction in it, because I am going to the printers for our shopping map before the DMB meeting, so it, and I want to do it justice of, so that's the only thing I can think of, but.
I make a motion that we table the discussion of this particular ladies' night pop-up event until our following DMB meeting. With the exception that we would put the ladies, or excuse me, men's night event on our calendar for December 20th, because one way or another.
Perfect. That'll help. Yep.
Thank
So
you.
do I have support? Thank you.
Perfect. Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so
Thank
I'll
you.
go ahead and get the band situated and the tent prices, that kind of stuff, get that all together. And then you guys are gonna get the marketing prices together?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and then I will talk with the radio station because they talked about giving us free times for that. So I'll see if I can get that done. So thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your participation. Thank you guys very much. All right, thank you all. Approval of the holiday parade title sponsor.
So we've talked about this for I think the last couple months. Obviously, we work with Rotary to do our holiday parade, facilitate the holiday parade on our behalf. We have moved the date to the second Saturday in December. And now the marketing committee has worked on some title sponsorship opportunities and some verbiage for it. We do have one business, we opened it up to downtown and then also the community. It was advertised in the chamber e-blast. If anyone was interested in being the presenting sponsor of the Downtown Petoskey Holiday Parade. We received one applicant, which was Craig Ryan, Fine Clothing. And based on that and the fact that he was the only applicant, and is very passionate about it as well. I urge it's my recommendation. I don't know if this is the first time I've done this memos a lot like this, but okay, so it's my recommendation that the board approve it. Craig Ryan as the presenting sponsor for the holiday parade. In there was the sponsor expectations and benefits. Included in there is that, let's see, where is it? The sponsorship is a commitment for 1 calendar year, which does open it up to other sponsors. So it's not, Craig Ryan will, if they are approved this year, then they can come back next year and apply to be the presenting sponsor again. But I think, we opened it up and we offered it, and actually Craig Ryan, approached us even before this was thought of, that they would really want to be the presenting sponsor. So
Thank you, Andy. I don't see in here where we were requiring payment by a certain date, and I believe that requirement was to be made before the map went to print.
yes, it was, you're right, and it was the beginning of May. Yes.
So there would be a requirement that the parade sponsor pays before we send the map to be printed, so that starts the clock on what we are giving them, and we're also verifying that we've been paid, since sometimes in the past, we don't necessarily get paid for sponsorships. So therefore, we put that in when we created the event sponsorship. Just to let everybody know.
Have we been stiffed on?
Sometimes on occasion, not very often, but I think it's important, you don't want to be chasing,
Yeah,
like, if we're doing all this marketing, it should be paid for before marketing starts.
Okay,
Any discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion, we have support. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you. All right, discussion of the strategic plan action plan. Strategic plan action, plan. Yes. Amy, would you please fill us in? This was at my request, by the way, that I did ask Amy to start working on the strategic plan, updating us monthly. So thank you.
Right, so what was included in your packet, I just started, just went through the strategic plan. First category, header was the SWAT challenge, was downtown staff are the bad guys. So what I've come up with on the screen here are actually what all of the SWAT challenges are identified in the action items for 23-24. So starting with the one that is in the packet, but in the packet I gave you 23-24 and on to 25-26 into, I think that was, the last year. So in reviewing the strategic plan, that we could do it one of two ways. We could just focus on the SWAT challenge and go through all of the recommendations. Or the way I kind of organized it here is, because we're in the 23-24 timeline, going through what are the recommended actions and what is our current status and where do we want our focus to go now through the end of 24. So that's kind of how I've organized it here. So again, that first challenge, downtown staff are the bad guys. The actions will hire a parking services manager who has jolly attitude, experience with numbers and parking management experience. And then there's the reworking the parking ambassador position, developing the parking services manager position. So really those first three items we have completed. So if you just move over a column, we could just mark all of the statuses, those are complete. if the board agrees that those are complete.
I would say that we have.
Yes.
For
Okay,
those who don't know, this is April Sanders, our parking and mobility and accessibility director.
okay. So the next recommended recommendation to address the challenge was to separate parking services from downtown staff physically and programmatically. The first couple items here talk about the discussion that has occurred about purchasing or taking over the Chamber of Commerce building. That hasn't happened yet, but the two divisions have been separated with the Lake Street office, but that first item is still a discussion that needs to occur with the Chamber of Commerce, as well as what are the steps that need to happen and what's the timing potentially of that. So those are things that probably still are ongoing. But we have, for number two, we definitely have separated those two operations. Let's see. We have updated the website to add staff, and let's see, evaluate cost developing. We haven't done anything with creating a separate landing page or separate web page for parking. Don't know that that's essential. It's fairly new that the separation has occurred, so I guess we'll just see how it progresses, unless the board feels strongly that there should be a separate parking website.
Thoughts on that?
Not hearing strong feelings.
April, do you have any thoughts on that? Not at the moment. I do not have strong thoughts on that. I think we'll discuss that at parking committee meeting going forward. Have that in-depth discussion right back here. Okay.
Let's see. Okay, so the third one, downtown staff will feel valued. New employees are onboarded. Yeah, I was. But we have not yet done there was discussion of bringing back the Thursday events. And so that's something that will occur moving forward, to have that not in a meeting venue opportunity for businesses to get together and talk about issues. Let's see. The downtown management board members will have a unified message when conversing with business members to combat that parking lady chatter about downtown staff. I know April has put together information on the parking system, but I don't know, we probably haven't gotten to the point of what I think even I know Becky's put together the new downtown employee. She has a new downtown employee packet, and one of those things is how to train employees to respond to parking questions or concerns. So maybe that's just something we bring up again and we just share with all board members as well, and the downtown community as a whole. I don't know if there was an exit interview with Becky, but she isn't here anymore. So let's see. The next, so that is that first challenge of downtown staff are the bad guys. So I think overall that challenge has been actively, that part of the plan has been actively worked on. And I guess the results are yet to be determined, but we'll hope for the best. So that's the first one, and I don't know if you, again, if you want to, go through a couple of these tonight, go through, set a goal of going through a couple each meeting. How far out would you want to just first focus on the current section? Because I think there's, even if you look farther out, there's probably some things we've already accomplished. But it might be easiest just for now to stick with the current time frame.
And so in what you were saying to us would be the things in here in red.
Right.
Okay.
Right, for each SWAT challenge.
Right, so
Mhm.
each month we bring a different SWAT challenge and we discuss where we're at.
Right.
I like that. Process. We do, at what point do we start looking out at next year, right? So that we're starting to form our priorities for next year, would be the question.
Right.
How many total SWAT challenges are there?
There was a lot.
Okay.
Like if you go, just for the 23-24, I want to say there were at least 100 lines, but again, there you have the infill lines. But you have,
80.
yeah, I mean, the action items, you probably have a good 60 to 70 action items. Just through 23-24, and a lot of them have been addressed in some way somehow. But that does help you know which ones you gotta move into the priority for the budget next year.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I like keeping our eye on what we're doing and making sure that we're making progress every month. And also making sure that as a community and as a downtown that we're working on the things that the strategic planners that we paid a lot of money to and spent a lot of time with, that we're going those directions. Thank you, Amy, for bringing this. Any other comments on how we do this? So tonight, we've taken care of, we've talked about 11 out of possibly 100, is that what you're saying?
Probably 11 of a good 60 to 70 just in the current time frame. Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, if you see that next one, the SWAT challenge, Tuskegee's reputation of not being business friendly, I don't see us filling the whole budget this year.
Yeah. Well, let's stick with what's in front of us for tonight.
Okay.
And then I think next month we can bring another selection to us.
Okay.
We'll work our way through it. Current.
And what I'll do is just, I'll send you the section we're gonna be talking about, so when you're reviewing the packet, you know, make sure to make notes and.
Any questions on any of the topics that Amy brought up this evening? Let's have a resource by downtown management board committees.
I'll go first.
Let's do the elevator.
Yes, you have the minutes in your packet. If you have any questions, let me know. I do have one addition. I am working on sending, I like to do newsletters, like twice a year, you know, one for busy summer, one in the fall. Just a recap of everything coming up, important dates, new business, or new employee packet reminders, how downtown dollars work, just kind of like a check-in kind of. So I am working on a newsletter to get out by the beginning of May. And then Amy and I have a bunch of things to add to it. Like I said, you know, it's mostly marketing and promotions driven, event dates, how to use downtown dollars, you know, the flower planting day, just, you know, save the dates and stuff like that. So I'm working on that, and that'll be emailed, and then also I hand deliver it to businesses. So working on that, just so everyone's aware and knows what's coming up.
Thanks, Mandy. Amy?
Well, I don't know if you'd given dates, so we tentatively have Wake Up Downtown scheduled for Thursday, May 16th. That is tentative still. The The service effect training for exclusively downtown employees is, I believe, June 10th. The flower planting is June 6th. And those are the dates that will be discussed in the newsletter as well. So we can start promoting all those things.
I had thank you, I had a thought that perhaps we invite the summer interns from the police department to attend Service Effect. Since they are downtown, they're talking to our visitors and things like that. And that isn't always something that those who are studying criminal justice are taught in their events. And I just think that that might be a good way to include them, and since, you know, we are already paying for it as a downtown, we should include those individuals working in our downtown.
Absolutely.
Good idea.
My daughter studied criminal justice, so I'm not throwing shade at anybody.
Yeah.
All right. Any other committee minutes? April, oh, sorry, you're the wrong side of the room.
Always. Okay, so we met with city council last night and presented the barnacle and different options. The notes are in there from the thing, but wanted to add, our parking committee.
I don't want to get.
You're gonna like it.
This is a good one. So the parking committee had recommended, if somebody pays within.
Oh, we use the microphone, sorry. Thank you. It's hard for Sarah.
All right,
Oh,
to
me.
do the
I do
minutes.
minutes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you do? Never
I
mind.
do minutes, yes.
Oh,
so the parking committee, we had talked about different things as we're looking at further enforcement tools to also look at some of the benefits for the folks that pay their parking ticket quickly. So if someone pays their ticket within 24 hours, we're giving them a 50% discount. So we're putting this little slip in with the ticket so you can look at it. We did say to come down to the parking office. However, we had some people, a gentleman call and we gave him a 50% discount. So we will track it, provide some statistics going forward.
Thank you, April. And I think this was a way to try to get back some of our attitude of little softer, kinder, gentler with our visitors who park downtown. And not forgiving the ticket like a courtesy ticket, because that will take a little more time and work. But to start here and something that we could try and change if, you know, depending on how things work. I do want to thank Amy and April. They both spoke last night in front of City Council, and I really appreciated their input. And their willingness to talk about fun things that aren't so much fun, like parking. And I do want to reiterate to everybody that the purpose of the parking meters downtown and our policies is to move frequent offenders in and out of the parking system, so that we don't have people like I had along the side of my business for the last 5 days, not moving their cars. So those parking spots, you know, are extremely valuable, and if they're not turning over, they're not generating income for downtown. So that's why, you know, we're talking about doing things like the barnacle for people who owe us $7,000, $8,000, $10,000. Thank you.
And
$20,000.
and not necessarily just waiting till they owe that much, right?
Trying to.
It would also be finding the other people that owe a couple hundred or 500 to help them get on the right track before they become the 10,000, 20,000, 40,000.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments on committee meetings? Report by city staff.
That's me, hey.
Yeah.
Shady took off, they did good. We were here till 10 o'clock last night, from 6 till 10-ish. We had a presentation by the cemetery sexton, which was requested because we do appoint 3 people. I do appoint 3 people to the board, so we felt it was important. I'm gonna take care of that thing. Also the discussion on the yellow car blanket, alias barnacle. That was discussed at length. It was, there was no motion, there wasn't a motion set. But it will come back at the next meeting. If you may wonder, why is it at city council? And the past has been when there was mere raising of prices. About 6 years ago, the Downtown Management Board, I don't know if any of you were here then, you brought up about 15, 16 items that you wanted the city council to approve. We approved everything, including the raising of the meter rates, so that we could look at it, investing in a ramp. That increase was to go into a specific fund. Let's see. I see this as a passing piece that will get passed. What had happened was 5, 6, 7 years ago, when you came forward to city council, the only thing the council turned down was the booting. I think there is a little hesitation on a couple of people, individuals, but I think as a whole, I think a majority of the board will support attempting to utilize this. I think it's a good first step. There were several grants that were approved by city council for application. Also, the purchase of a front end loader at 130,000, something like that. Then we went into closed session for 45 minutes after that. So I don't have notes, but I think I covered a good part of it. I appreciate you guys coming and presenting. I think it was good that 3 of you were there and did a great job presenting it. I think we'll move forward on it.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
That's all.
Great. Lovely. Okay. Anything else? I will entertain a motion. Adjourn. Yes. We're adjourned. There you go.